Hey there, and welcome back to another video. Tone, to me and many others, is the most important thing when playing an instrument, and specifically in this case, saxophone. Doesn't matter how cool your lines are, how great your licks are, if your tone isn't good and you play out of tune, it's just not going to sound good. In this video, I'm going to be giving you some simple but focused exercises that won't take a ton of time, but if you add them into your practicing, you will have a better sound on the saxophone and you're going to play much more in tune. Speaking of playing in tune, a lot of people talk about the tone of the saxophone. They talk about their sound, I'm looking for this tone, I'm going for this tone, but they don't focus enough on intonation, that is, playing in tune. And more specifically, playing more in tune and consistent throughout the entire range of the instrument and the entire dynamic range as well. There aren't any specific downloads for this video. I'm just going to be giving you the exercises and talking you through them while I play them, but I still have something for you. If you've ever wanted to get better at improvisation and you're stuck, you're learning some chords, you're learning some licks, some scales or whatever, but you can't really put it together to create a coherent solo, well, I have just the thing for you. It's a free masterclass called The Best Way to Create Melodic Solos. In that masterclass, I teach you my simple 6-step voice leading process that will have you playing coherent, lyrical, and more melodic solos right away. Along with the detailed lesson video, I also give you a bunch of PDF downloads as well. The only thing you need to do to get that is to go to davepollack.com/free masterclass, and I'll also put that direct link in the description, the top of the description down below, and in the pinned comment. Now let's dive into this video about how to play more in tune and in turn with a better tone on the saxophone. I've been listening to a lot of people over the years play. My students, peers, heroes of mine, and one thing I notice is tone and intonation, more specifically even, really affect how I enjoy listening. And I've talked to a lot of people and they agree with me. When people say they want a better tone, usually what they're talking about is the evenness of their sound and their intonation throughout the whole range of the instrument. When you talk about tone quality, sure, if you have a raspy sound or it's like really constricted, yes, that's not a good tone quality. But besides that, if you slow everybody's tone down, everybody's pitched down, you play a long tone, a lot of people are going to sound similar. The difference is, the phrasing, the articulation, the air, how we do that stuff. But one of the big differences is the consistency of sound and consistency of tone throughout the instrument. And the way to get a consistent sound, consistent tone, and a good quality sound throughout the instrument is, one, having a good setup here with your embouchure. That's just going to give you a good tone. But here's where the big difference is. The evenness of intonation throughout the instrument. One of the biggest problems I see when people play, or I hear it when I'm listening, is that you might have a good quality sound in the middle range of the instrument, which is where we're going to start. But then, as soon as you start moving to other notes, or you get louder or softer, you go higher or lower, the pitch goes out the window because your embouchure is moving or it's not moving when it should, and therefore the intonation gets bad. And then one of two things happen. Either you just play out of tune, which is not going to sound good, or you try to adjust and adjust either too much or not enough, and then the tone quality is affected. Okay? The idea of this masterclass is I'm combining these two elements, tuning and tone together, because they are very closely linked. Yes, you can have a good tone but be out of tune, but it's not going to sound good. So what's the point of having a good sound if you're not going to sound good? All right, the first thing we're going to do is play a middle note on the instrument, whatever that means to you. It could be anything kind of in that middle G to G range. And this is whether you're on tenor, alto, soprano, it doesn't matter. Just anything in that middle range, except I wouldn't use the note C sharp, D, or D sharp. Those middle notes can be kind of stuffy sounding, out of tune. The middle C sharp is notoriously nasally and flat. Middle D and D sharp are a little stuffy and sharp, so let's stay away from those. But any of the other ones work. I'm going to start on the note F natural on alto. I know a lot of people use F sharp as the tuning note, but we're just talking about tone quality right now. Without looking at a tuner, and by the way, I do want you to have a tuner handy for this masterclass, and when you're doing these exercises, I have mine here. But for right now, first thing to get a good quality sound and intonation is just get a nice sound on the instrument. How do we get a nice sound? Do we just... No. We're going to think of the embouchure all. I don't need to tell you, specifically, put your teeth on top, curl underneath. All of you can do that. But what I want you to do is not do anything over the top. Don't be super loose and go, oh. Don't be super tight, right? I want you to just keep a nice round embouchure. When I say round, I want you to think of haw, haw. Don't think E or haw. Don't let it go fall flat. Aw, just say aw, aw, aw,
but stay consistent with all, not ha, ha, just ah, and then play that middle F. Don't look at the tuner yet. Maybe pick another note. I'll use B. All I'm trying to do is get a good quality of sound. I'm not worried about intonation yet. I'm just getting the good tone on the instrument and just a sound. And that's the most important thing first. So I want you to do that first. Now here's where long tones come in. And if you know anything about me, you know I'm not the biggest proponent of just saying do long tones. Because people are just like, do long tones. 10 minutes of long tones a day, you'll have amazing sound. And then people just sit there and go for 10 minutes, and they wonder why they don't sound better. Long tones, if used with intentionality, can be great. Because what you're doing is you're building up the muscles of your embouchure and adjusting where necessary with a tuner to make sure your pitch has a good quality of sound, which you can't judge that with a tuner, but the quality of sound listening to it, but then the pitch with your tuner. So we are going to do a couple long tones now, but I want you to really focus on what's the point of the long tone. So I'm going to take that first starting note that I used, F. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a long tone, aka hold the note out for a while, just at a medium volume. But this time I am going to look at the tuner, okay? I'm going to look at the tuner and I'm going to see where I'm at. I'm not going to adjust first. I'm just going to see where I'm at pitch-wise and just hold it out for a few seconds. Okay, I'm a little sharp. I'm going to play middle B now. I'm not going to adjust anything yet. Okay, that's in tune. But because that F was a little sharp, I know that those lower notes are going to sit more in tune. The higher I go, the sharper it's going to get. So I'm going to pull out just a little bit. Let me check that F one more time. Okay, now we're in tune. Now that you know the instrument is in tune, we adjusted the middle range for the instrument. Now we're not going to touch the mouthpiece on the neck the rest of this. That's one of the things. You don't need to be, every time you play, in the upper register, you're sharp, you don't have to pull out, you're lower, don't adjust it. Adjust for the middle range and that's it. Now what we're going to do is see if we can hold that pitch for a long time, keeping it consistent. If it's not consistent, note where the pitch goes as we start running out of air, okay? Is it going to get sharper? Is it going to get flatter? And note that as you're looking at it, and then we're going to make adjustments afterwards. Always focus on, no matter what we do, I'm going to say this a bunch of times, but first thing, always listen for the tone quality. You've already worked on using aw to get a nice open sound. Now, don't ever get away from that sound. The only thing we're going to adjust now is our tongue for the pitch, but that's it. The problem is so many people, they squeeze, they open, they loosen. That's where the tone gets bad. I want you to always think of aw, and then we're going to make micro adjustments with our tongue for the pitch. So right now, we're just going to hold a medium volume. Okay, I could have played a little longer, but I was running out of air, but I noticed the pitch started going a little sharp. The reason that's a pretty common thing is as you start running out of air, you start squeezing to get the last little bit out. What I want you to do when you practice long tones, if you notice that it's going sharp, I want you to stop playing the note. As it starts to rise, just stop playing the note, because then you know you stopped on a clean sounding note. Then what I want you to do is take a full breath, try to do it again, and keep increasing the amount of time. If you want to use a timer, you can. Keep increasing the amount of time that you're playing that note before it goes sharp, okay? If you can get longer and longer without it going sharp, that's going to be the goal here. Now, if it does start going sharp, there is an adjustment you can make. Every time in this video I talk about adjustments of pitch, we're only going to think about raising or lowering our tongue, okay? So when we say aw, the tongue should be pretty low, but not like oh, all the way low, all right? You should have motion on both ways. So if the pitch is going a little sharp, all you have to do is lower the tongue a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the note F a little sharp, then you're going to hear me lower the tongue, and that will lower the pitch. Watch this. Hear that? It just lowered it. That's all you have to do. Don't think about bringing your jaw down. Don't think about opening here. The embouchure, the mouth, the muscles, everything stays the same. The only thing is, even say that. There's like middle, aw, there's higher, E, or O, then there's a lowest, O, right? Now, if the pitch goes flat, same thing, but in the opposite direction. Raise the tongue up a little bit. Okay, that brings it up. Now, is just the tongue moving the only thing that's happening? No. You will feel other things moving, but here's where people get messed up. They start thinking about every little million things that are going on in your mouth. It's way too complicated for me. Probably too complicated for you. If it's not, great. But for me, all I do is focus on the tongue, and then that helps me get the pitch either up in tune or down to in tune. Now we're going to do some different dynamic levels, and you could do these in kind of any variation you want, but the options are staying at one dynamic level the whole time, either soft, medium, or loud, or changing dynamic levels. Now, starting just soft or just loud, I think is the more important thing to do first to be consistent. So I'm just going to play in the middle F, but soft, and keep it soft the entire time while holding the pitch steady. Okay, I noticed that when the softer I play, I kind of open up a little too much and it was a little flat, so I had to raise it up. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but play loud the whole time. Okay, opposite. I was a little sharp, so I had to pull it down. You can work on that over and over and over again and notice your tendencies. You can even write them down. You want to have like a sheet or a notes app on your phone and say, oh, when I play soft, I'm usually flat, so I have to raise up. Oh, when I'm loud, I have to, lip down. Whatever you need to do, write that down. Now what we're going to do is go from soft to loud, then loud to soft. When doing this, really note on the tuner what happens to the pitch. Once again, then you're going to find out your tendencies. So here we go, soft to loud. Okay, just like I noted before, when I started soft, I was a little flat, so I had to raise it up. But as I got louder, the pitch started rising. So I had to, as the dynamic level was going up, I had to open up my tongue a little bit to kind of slot it in tune. If I didn't, and I just played willy-nilly, let's see what happened. Okay, my tendency is to, I guess, tighten up a little too much, and the pitch went sharp, 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 sharp. You do not want that. Yours might be the opposite. I've seen people, especially if you haven't been playing super long, your embouchure might not be as developed. As you get louder, you just open, you go, ah, and the pitch just dives flat. That's something to note and something to really focus on. The idea here, though, is no matter what we're playing soft, loud, and you can go loud, soft, loud, soft, you can go back and forth, whatever, but we're still just taking one long tone. The pitch stays consistent. Note your tendencies. Okay, it's usually one or the other. Usually when people play loud, they're one way, either sharp or flat. Soft, they're one way, sharp or flat. Going back, if that first note, middle volume, if that's out of tune or inconsistent, don't go any further. That's where you have to work, of holding one note consistently. As you work through these exercises, maybe go back every once in a while and check to make sure, one note is in tune, because it can be frustrating. You're like, why? I'm going flat, then sharp, then flat, then sharp. Well, it might just be your embouchure. You don't know where to just center a note, in which case just go back and just play a single note, medium, volume, medium, note. Just hold it out for a long time and get that pitch consistent. Remember, you're hearing the tone, and yes, you're hearing the pitch, but use the tuner to really keep yourself honest, because sometimes people can hear in tune or hear sharp and they're actually wrong. All right. I hope this masterclass really helps you out with your tuning and your tone on the saxophone. Everybody wants to have a great sound. I want to have a great sound. You want to have a great sound. We all listen for great sounds on the instrument. I hope this masterclass kind of sheds some light on really what you should be thinking about to get that great sound. You should be thinking about having a nice open embouchure with consistent air to actually get the quality of sound. You should be focused on playing each note in tune and making micro adjustments with your tongue so that each of the notes slots in tune while playing with that great sound. One thing I didn't talk about in this entire video yet is gear. The reed, the mouthpiece, the ligature, and the saxophone setup. I'm a big proponent of medium-sized gear. Your mileage may vary. If you just are huge, you're 6'5" and you have a ton of air, you're gonna need a bigger, harder reed setup to so you don't overblow. If you're smaller, you use less air, you're gonna need a smaller setup. Use whatever kind of is medium. When I say medium, I don't necessarily mean by the literal number. I mean, what feels good to you? Just regular. Can you play medium volume? Can you play loud? Can you play soft while controlling the air? If there are some issues with playing loud or soft, a lot of the times it's just you and your embouchure. We like to blame the gear, but a lot of times you. But there are times when it is the gear. For example, if you're experimenting with some mouthpiece that's supposed to have a lot of punch and pop and it's really loud, it might be hard to get a good quality sound at a soft dynamic level. The inside, the geometry of the chamber and all that might be best suited to a ton of air. In that case, if you need to play soft, that might not be the best choice for you. If you're playing in a rock and roll band and you have to play loud all the time, sure, use it. But you get the point of use the right gear for the situation. That's why I like middle of the road setups, because I can play soft, I can play medium, I can play really loud if I need to, and then it's just up to me to adjust all of that. That's my little rant about gear, but once again, you are going to have the biggest effect on the sound once everything, your instrument's in good working order, you don't have leaks, your reed's not chipped, things like that. Focus on the all sound, focus on your tone, focus on using the tuner to slot every single note in tune, and then without using the tuner, you'll be able to hear what in tune sounds like, and you're going to have a great quality sound on the saxophone.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that lesson, and I really hope you implement it into your practicing. The first thing I want to say about it is that this is not the be-all, end-all video about tone and intonation on the saxophone. This just scratches the surface, but it is a great starting point for a lot of you. I know that when I just filmed this and when I was going through some of these exercises and I was talking about some of the things I was doing and I was playing through them, it helped me kind of center myself, play more in tune with a better sound. And even if you're more advanced or you're more beginner, I know these exercises will help you as well. The most important thing here is that you take action and actually implement this in your practicing. That's how you get the results. Just watching this video is not going to make you better at saxophone, make you have a better sound, or play more in tune. You actually have to do a little bit of the work here, even though it's not, a ton of work. It's not hours and hours and hours. I'm cutting out all the fluff here, but practice these focused exercises and you will definitely get better. I actually dive way deeper into this topic about tone and intonation inside of my Saxophone Success community. The members there are loving it. Shout out to the Saxophone Success community members, and they are getting such great results already inside of SSC. Before you go, be sure to download the free masterclass by using the link at the top of the description down below or in the pinned comment, or you could just go directly to davepollack.com/free masterclass. What other topics do you want to see me teach here? Let me know by commenting down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.